played one of the most endearing characters on Downton Abbey, and I was so glad to see him return in the movie.
So was I.
What was it like after almost 4 years away to reunite with the cast?
It was easy. For a start, we knew that we would be coming back because the idea of making a movie came to the producers just before we started to shoot the last season, and they talked to us about that possibility. So we knew it was on the cards. It just became a matter of logistics, trying to get everybody back together again, because consider there are 20-odd main characters, and trying to get them all back together at the same time for a 12-week period was difficult, and Julian had to come up with a story that was sufficiently strong to get us all back, and a reason that the household comes together. And so he came up with a wonderful idea. But in terms of coming back together, it was easy because we'd all stayed in touch anyway. We became lifelong friends, a lot of us.
Mr. Molesley is quite different from the first time that we see him in season 1 to the end of season 6. He goes through so much. Yes. How would you describe him to somebody who hasn't seen the show?
Oh gosh, yeah, he it's difficult to sort of give you a straight answer to that. But because he does evolve so much. When I first came to the show, the character was only meant to sort of stick around for 2 or 3 episodes. And they liked what I was doing, and so they decided to sort of keep him on, and which was very gratifying to me. And so he starts off as the butler to Matthew Crawley and his mother, and he introduces them to the world of Downton, to the world of having servants, something that they hadn't been used to in their private life. And so, as I say, yeah, he introduces them to that whole world. And when they move to Downton Abbey, he moves with them.
He's just he just won my heart every episode. I was like, oh, please let something good happen for Mr. Molesley. I don't know,
he goes through turmoils.
Yes.
And it was fun playing somebody who goes through turmoils. Mm-hmm. When Matthew dies, he has a very uncertain future. There's no role for him there anymore, so there's no reason for him to be hanging around at the house. He's sort of, unnecessary. And so he goes through a period of trying to find other work, and he has to come back cap in hand to Mr. Carson and take whatever job is offered to him. And unfortunately, it's because he starts off as a butler, come valet, and then he ends up being a lowly footman who has to wear white gloves. And so it's a bit of a public humiliation for him to be seen to have sort of gone down in the world. But he copes with it, as he's coped with many sort of disappointments in his life. He often refers to sort of, he clearly is somebody who had ambitions as a young man, and none of them were met. So he had a lot of disappointments, both privately and professionally. But you begin, as the series goes on, you begin to see him getting his just rewards.
On the DVDs, they have behind-the-scenes featurettes, and it looks like the entire cast is just so funny. So I want to ask you, who's the funniest member of the cast?
Oh, well, that depends. Depends who you're with that particular day. I think Jim Carter, who plays Mr. Carson, he's got a very dry wit, and he makes me laugh. There are times, especially in the dining room, when we're having to sort of hang around for hours and hours on end, where we try and keep each other amused. So we have a very similar sense of humour.
Downton Abbey is, I guess, played in the series by Highclere Castle. And I was wondering, when the production is filming, what precautions need to be taken to cover up the carpets, or do they roll them away? Do they move out the furniture?
They do all of that. There's some priceless stuff in there, and so it has to be very carefully protected. In the dining room, there's a Van Dyck painting which is reputedly worth £17 million. So we have to be very careful about moving cameras and lighting equipment in and out of there. And all the floors are covered. So everything is meticulously protected. And so it can be, when we're filming there, it can be quite stifling, the atmosphere, because you have to be so careful about everything. You can't take cups of tea and coffee in there in case anything gets spilt. So we feel a release when we're able to film the downstairs scenes, which of course are filmed in a studio. So, you know, that's our world, so we can drink coffee to our heart's content.
There's already talk of a sequel.
Oh, I know, it's ridiculous.
If that happens, what would you like to see happen, especially for your character, Mr. Molesley?
The lovely thing about this movie is that Julian has come up with a fantastic storyline to bring us all back together again. You know, the visit of the royal family, which would have been a once-in-a-generation event. So it has to be something as big as that. And I don't know what else he can come up with, but it has to be something similar. So who knows the future of Mr. Molesley? I guess he's back to his teaching job now. I'll leave it in the very capable hands of Mr. Julian Fellows.
I'm sure he can come up with something fantastic.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you for coming to Canada to talk to us about this fantastic movie.
Thank you.